So the rest of the organizational story in terms of me, because of Goldman Sachs' involvement going public, Jim McCann decided to bring in a high pedigree, sort of fancy pedigree VP marketing. He brought in a guy named Jerry Noonan, who then head of marketing at Polaroid. I'm not sure exactly what that has to say for someone, at least back then, when there didn't seem too much hope for Polaroid. And then he was at, I want to say Pepsi for a while. And he had me report to this guy. So Jerry came in and he reviewed the plan and everything we were doing with the cross-functional teams assigned by occasion. I'd even hired brand managers, background type people from General Foods and other companies, just general marketing people, to be brand managers for each occasion. And that's how we ran the business. Everything DR, stressing the range of products beyond flowers, and planning by occasion, and then the weekly war meetings to make sure we were on track. And we continued to make our numbers every quarter. The new VP left after a year. I left as well. I've been there, I think, about 3 years. I joined a high-tech company out of Israel as worldwide chief revenue officer. I was recruited by the former CEO of Gannett Outdoor, where I'd worked for 10 years. 14 years after that, Chris McCann did a guest lecture for my FIT class, for this class, the first time I taught it 3 years ago. And you're going to get a guest lecture from one of those great marketing people I hired to run occasions, and his name is Dan Vinn. He's recently had a top marketing job at Marriott Hotels, which he recently left. He's working for kind of a tech startup now, and he's going to be doing a guest lecture. So there's something to be said about not burning bridges and keeping up your contacts. So lessons learned in terms of organization, I'm going to just say you got to be careful when you're driving change. I drove a lot of change, and sometimes I remember someone telling me when I was trying to sell them a new technology that the pioneer, the first one to try something, could be the one with the arrows in his back. A kind of funny image, I think. Also, another organizational lesson is to always be sure to have your boss's support for things you're doing. Include the boss in meetings, etc. I should have been more persistent about that. It's also true that cross-functional teams are amazing, and I'm expecting your teams for the Ocean Spray project to be amazing. Do your best, say what you think, don't burn bridges. And again, we used research. I'm just going to go back here. I want to underline the use of research and where research played a part in this little real-life story about 800 flowers. Decisions were based on facts whenever possible, not on guesswork. So when we decided how far to go with selling more than flowers, we did actually do focus groups about selling food and different things, and people were receptive. But when we went a little too far afield, selling wine or something like that, they weren't so receptive. So we did qualitative research to kind of see how far we could go. And then we actually had the benefit of having done some very broad-based quantitative research in the past that said that our key consumer was not likely to be into gardening, so we knew how far we could go. We couldn't go that far. And I also want you to remember that when we developed our TV commercial where we showed a variety of products, and it was a DR commercial, we did research on the commercial where we showed it to people embedded in programming, and we found out, how many people remembered it and what they remembered from it. So we did some pre-testing before we spent tens of millions of dollars in media money. We knew that we had something that was communicating the Tabasco that we wanted to communicate. Research, facts. Knowledge is power. So today we talked about research in the hopes that this will help you in where you are with ocean spray. We talked about why to do it. We talked about secondary and primary research. We talked about results. Ads with offers you're continuing to send in to me. I did post to discussion Team 1's submitted ad along with their Tabasco, and I've asked you guys to respond as teams to that, certain questions to answer. And then we did a little talk, a real-life talk about using research at 1-800-Flowers.com, where I attempted to show you how research functioned in a real-life business situation. And I also attempted to give you guys just some general advice about careers and how to conduct yourself as you move through the corporate world. So that is it for the class on research.